Hey now, today we're talking about the notes on the neck of your bass or on the fretboard, okay? This also can apply to the guitar, which is awesome, or even the piano in the future. But for now, we're going to use the bass as our medium to learn the notes on our neck or fretboard. Now there are many reasons to do this. Mostly, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been a music teacher for a long time, and I find that in order to save time and to get people playing songs a little bit faster, and be able to play with other people or to read and understand things more quickly, knowing the notes on the neck of your bass or guitar is really going to save you. It's a huge shortcut. It's a lot of work up front, but saves you a bunch of time in the future. I'll give you an example. I'm sure you've had conversations with people in your life, or maybe even meetings at work or something, that seem to take forever and could have been much, much shorter if people would have just been really clear about their communication or their language, right? I've been in meetings before that took an hour where you thought, man, that could have been one well-worded email or maybe 15 minutes tops if they just explained things more clearly, or if everyone trying to learn about that thing was speaking the same language. And that is exactly what we're trying to do with the notes on the neck. I really just want you to get into the fun part. So do a little bit of the boring part first, and then there's way more fun on the back end. So what we're going to do is talk about the notes in the musical alphabet and how they apply to the neck of your bass guitar. The musical alphabet consists of the letters A through G, and then it repeats. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There are half steps in between the notes B and C and E and F. So what I do to remember that is big cats eat fish. Half steps in between B and C and E and F. Now you may be asking yourself, or me on the screen, what is a half step? Well, I'll tell you. So in music there are half steps or whole steps, and what that means is, for example, a whole step, you'd be skipping over a fret to get to a whole step. So if I was playing the first fret on your E string, a whole step would be the third fret, because I'm skipping over the second fret. So 1 to 3, that's a whole step. Now a half step would be if I was going from 1 to 2. So here's a half or a whole. And that can apply all the way up and down the neck. Okay, a lot of times you'll hear me say up because I'm talking in pitch. This way is up. This way is down, which is the opposite of what you would think it would be. But I'm talking in terms of the notes getting higher on your strings, okay? So, in order to be able to apply this alphabet to your strings, you need to know the names of those strings. Your lowest string, the one that's closest to your head, is E. The next one up is A, D, G. So you can start on any one of those strings and apply the alphabet and figure out where those notes are on the string. I'm going to use the A string for an example because that's where the alphabet starts. So when I play this string open, that is the note A. That's why it's called the A string. Very clever, right? So this is the note A. And the next letter in the alphabet is B, and that is a whole step away. So if I'm going from 0 and I need a whole step, I have to skip over 1 and go to the second fret. So here is A, B. The next note in your alphabet is C, which we said big cats is a half step. B to C. Ta-da! So far we have A, B, C. Then the next letter in the alphabet is a whole step to D, whole step to E, half step between E and F, eat fish. So I go up to the 8th fret. Then whole step to G and whole step to A. So the good news is that if I'm doing this correctly, I end up on the double dots. Do you see how all the notes on my neck either have no dot or they have a single dot? But on the 12th fret, we have double dots. Double dots in music means repeat, and it's the same on your bass. This is the note A, that's another A. A, A. So if you get to the 12th fret and you're not repeating the same note you started with, then you gotta go back to the drawing board and do it again. Speaking of back to the drawing board, here we go. We're gonna go A, open, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step to A. Hopefully that makes sense to you. You can apply that to all of the strings, okay? So I'm going to do that same thing on the E string. When I play this string open, that is the note E. It's the E string. So the next letter in the alphabet is F. That's a half step. So 0 to 1. That's F. Next letter is G, whole step. Then the alphabet starts over again. A, whole step. B, whole step. C, half step. D, whole step. E, whole step. And I'm on the double dots. Ta-da! Good news is it'll keep going from there. This is E, F, G, A. And I know I rushed that, but I think that you get the idea by now. And again, this whole thing is about saving you some time. I want to give you an example of how this can help you. I have seen tabs for songs that are sometimes 3, 4, 5 pages long with notes, you know, a bunch of 7s, a bunch of 9s, like things repeating over and over again. It's just a lot of over explaining, right? And again, if I'm trying to read tabs, you know, sometimes on a phone or an iPad, and you gotta like scroll up, you know, through 5 pages worth of tabs, it's a huge pain. So a good example of something I saw that was way more complicated in tab form than it needed to be, or even just in an explanation form than it needed to be, was Sunshine of Your Love. Okay? Classic tune. And bear with me, even if you're not excited about learning this riff, which hopefully you will be, the explanation of the whole thing is the important part. So if I were to do this in fret numbers, which I've done many times, and I'll do in a lot of my videos, I would say that you are going to play your 3rd finger on the 8th fret of your G string twice. 8, 8, and then you go back to 6 on the G with your 1st finger, and back up to 8 on the G with your 3rd finger. We have 8, 8, 6, 8. And then we would go to the 8th fret on the D string, 3rd finger, 7th fret, 2nd finger, and 6th fret with our 1st. So we have 8, 8, 6, 8, 8, 7, 6. Then I'm going to go to 6 on the A string with my 1st finger, 9 on the A string with my 4th finger, and back to 6 with my first finger. So all together, 8, 8, 6, 8, 8, 7, 6, 6, 9, 6. And that was me even kind of rushing, right? Just to get through it. If I wanted to boil it down and make it easy for you, I would say that really all you need is to find the note E flat on your A string and play an E flat blues scale. And remember, we haven't talked about scales in this video. If you want to learn about that, I have another video on scales that I would highly recommend that you learn. But at the very least, I would say start on E flat and walk your way down the blues scale. It's minor. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. I mean, you don't have to understand the words that I used there really just yet, but do you see how that explanation was a lot faster? That's what I'm trying to get across. And you would have heard me reference in that example flat, okay? We didn't talk about that. I just said in the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? I didn't say anything about flats or sharps. But you will see it when you're looking up tabs. Mostly it's sharp, right? And flats they exist in the music world, but probably not as much in the tab world. But if you're reading chord charts and things like that, or speaking to other musicians, they might say flat. So what is that? I'm going to use the note G on my E string as an example. So E, F, G. Now I could either go to G, from G to A, which is the next letter in the alphabet, but there are other notes that I skipped over when I went from F to G and from G to A. So what are those notes? G sharp is kind of like G plus, okay? So if I go G and I go up 1/2 step, that's G sharp, okay? You'll see that written. You just have to find G and then G sharp. So if I wanted to go flat, flat is like minus, okay? So here is G and flat is back 1/2 step. That's a G flat. So here's G, G flat, G, G sharp, okay? And in Sunshine of Your Love, like I just did, I went to the note E, A, B, C, D, E, and I said it was in E flat. So I went back 1/2 step. That's E flat. And if I know how to find those notes on the neck, I will save myself a bunch of time. And again, I know it's not fun. It's not as fun as learning a riff or learning a song, but the idea is you do a little bit of this boring stuff up front, and it makes it so much easier for you to do the fun stuff faster, okay? So definitely worth your time, definitely worth your effort. I've been doing this forever. Not a fan of wasting time. I want you to be able to jump in and play music and have fun. That is my ultimate goal. Being able to say more with less, being able to communicate with other musicians, or being able to read things like chord charts, or which you'll also find a video of me talking about chord charts. Please watch the video about scales if that sounds interesting to you, which I hope it will. And also please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Share this with people that you think might be interested. Let me know if you need any help. That's what I'm here for. And happy Bassin. I will look forward to seeing you in some other videos in the future. Take care.